Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Torch Tales. I'm your host, Frank Vargas, aka Traveling Frankie, and you guessed it. Yes, one more time. One more conversation, one more guest. And we're going to get right into it. Today I have a very good friend that I've known for a while. He reps the line that I work for, the manufacturer that I work for, Mike Shaffer. Mike Shaffer has been in the industry for a while, and we're going to have a great conversation. We hope you guys like the content. Mike, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
This is kind of culminating the whole week after
Yes.
you and I have spent a whole week together, huh?
Yeah, what, 25 hours in the truck?
Yeah, so sorry about that, right?
No, I loved it every second.
It's all good. Thank you for allowing me to spend that time with you. Mike, as you know, I have this crazy idea that I've been going around and talking to friends in the industry. And I told you guys before, I keep finding myself always saying the same thing, talking to friends in the industry, which is exactly what I'm doing. Another friend, another conversation. Mike, we're gonna get to who he is, what he does now, but we're gonna go back like we usually do. Mike, where are you from?
Tennessee, Benton County, Tennessee.
Tennessee, and
Yes.
You were born and raised there?
I was born in Muskegon, Michigan. Then when I was in kindergarten, we moved to Tennessee.
Really?
Yes.
So where are we right now?
We're in Pennsylvania, south of
Okay,
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, correct.
Yes.
How long have you been here? When did you leave Tennessee?
I left Tennessee about 19 years ago, 20 years ago.
Gotcha.
Yes.
And what did you do there while you were there?
In Tennessee?
Yeah.
I was a welder fabricator since I was 12 years old. My dad, he was a supervisor of fabrication shop. Then after that, he had his own construction crew.
Okay.
So then I'm blah, 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 talking so much. And he says, grab that torch and start cutting. And then I started cutting pretty good, even at 12. So then he put me to work, and then it just went on from there.
Really?
Yes.
See, I didn't know that actually you were exposed to the industry so early on and that you were already, sparking things out there.
Yes.
Oh, so that's cool. Now, why did you leave Tennessee? And first of all, where did you go from Tennessee? What was the next stop after Tennessee?
I actually went from Tennessee and moved straight to Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
Yes. 23 years ago, I lost my wife, and then my wife now lost her husband, so we was on a grievance line.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And
Wow.
so that's what, we was on the grievance line. We became, good friends, and we fell in love, and I came up here, a couple times, and we got together.
Yeah.
And we had so much in common.
Got
so
it.
then we sort of got together, and we got married, and Mikey came along, and
Wow, and we'll touch a little bit on
Yes.
that side, and since it's a more sensitive subject, and we'll get to that in a minute. So you come here to Pittsburgh,
Yes.
and at that time, what were you doing?
Well, I was welding, and then I came to Pittsburgh, and I started welding pressure vessels again.
Okay.
And then I always loved people, and I knew there was always something more.
Yeah.
And I went to college for business, and it just never worked out.
Okay.
And then so I went back to welding because there's more money.
Correct.
And then my wife applied for a sales position for me. I didn't even know it. And then she said, "Hey, they want to interview you." And so that's sort of how I got in here.
All right, so she was doing that,
Yes.
she was looking for that career for you already
Yes.
without you knowing.
Yes.
And that sales position was doing what?
Weld tooling, and it was starting in just inside sales manager, and
Yeah.
so I came in on board for that. And then they said, "Wow, you got all this experience. Why aren't you outside?"
Yeah.
And then so I started going outside. Then they made me the head of the training manager. So I went all to Mexico, Canada, and all through the U.S.
Oh, really?
Training people. Yes.
Wow. So that had to be an experience, your first time
Yes.
starting to travel, and then you
Yes.
get to Mexico, not speaking the
yes.
language, right?
Right.
And so how was that? Tell me a little bit when you got to Mexico. What was your take?
Oh, it was, well, at the time there was two cartels fighting, and where we,
That's exciting.
oh yes.
I'm moving the camera just a little, guys, so watch the shaking is there. There you go.
And there was two cartels fighting, so there was they cut off like 40 people's heads and put them on the
Whoa.
car a block away from us. So it was really intense at the time. So it was, nervous.
Wow,
But,
that's
I really enjoyed it though.
Yeah.
With the people there, and I got to be good friends with them. And I spent a couple weeks with them, and it was really it was.
wow. I can only imagine. I don't think, even though I'm from a Latin country, I don't think I've ever experienced that or seen anything like it. And I've been to Mexico before, and knock on wood, I don't get to see that. Now, so you come back, and what's the next move after that company you worked for? What came next?
Then Mark Campbell, which you know, good friend of ours, and you know, he saw me at Buggo, and he's like, you know, my son needs some help, and I'm going to be retiring. He said, and you know, if you'd like to take half of my business, you know, I'll be there to mentor you, and then you and Dave, I like to have my business 50-50.
So at this point, this means that you became a rep.
Yes.
And did you know what a rep agency was? Did you know what they did?
I thought I did until I became a rep. You know, he made it look like it was going to be a little bit easier than what it was. And then I know you have to have multiple hats.
Correct.
But the good news is I came from the industry. I grew up in the industry, so I pretty much knew, you know, like I said, I was oxyfuel cut when I was 12 years old. And, you know, I won all the regional competitions in welding for stick welding. I could weld my right or left hand.
Cool.
So I won all them, and I've been around these guys. And he said, well, Mike, I watched you for, you know, I think it was like 5 years of the time that Mark and I worked together. He said, you're honest, you got integrity, and he said, and you'll do well in sales. He said, you know, and then he had a meeting with my wife and my son.
So he had to meet the wife again, you know, the one that's actually doing the hiring and the selling Mike out there, right? So I get it. And so what year was that when you started with Mark and the Campbells as a rep?
Probably, I would say, time flies, I'd say 7-8 years ago.
Yeah, because that's around the time when of course I met you, because the Campbells, you know, had our line.
Yes.
And they had it for a while.
Yes.
And of course, things happen in life, and that agency, it's no longer around.
Well, Mark got cancer, and then Dave started that taco cat goat cheese pizza. And,
a toy company, right?
Yes.
And
I think he's in the top. I think it's top 20 or top 10 of Amazon.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So now you found yourself with pretty much, what do I do? Do I continue on? Do I stay? You know, can I do this on my own?
Yes.
Did you went through all those questions?
Yes, and then it was 2020 at the same time when all this was happening. Then, you know, Mikey, and then COVID hit, so we had all that too. So it was sort of you know, it was a horrible, but yet it was a blessing in disguise too, because I had time to regroup, figure out what I was going to do. Yes.
And now that you've been on your own and you are responsible for everything, like, you know, now there's no backup, there's no, hey, can I run this by you? It's all on you. You know, you look at the mirror and you go, hey, Mike, can I talk to you? What do you think the biggest difference is when you had, or you were working with someone or for someone or partnership with someone, that now you have to be responsible for everything? Like, what do you think is the biggest thing that you go, oof, I wish I knew that?
You can't turn off the mind. I'd say that. Like, you can't really go on vacation anymore, because even when you're on vacation, you're working because it all falls on me.
Correct.
You know? And then every time you take off, no matter where you're at, you're still thinking about the business.
Yeah.
It's sort of when you own a business, it's sort of like your kid.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, that's basically how to describe it.
And how much of an area do you cover?
I cover pretty much I wouldn't say, sort of like the Northeast United States.
Yeah.
You know.
And what lines do you represent?
I represent several lines, which, you know, as you already know. CK, which is one of the number one TIG lines in the world, and Oxylance, which is and all my lines they're great people. They're really good people, and like Chemtane, just added if you put in propylene or propane, they compete with propylene.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that, Mike. I think you and I have always gotten along, and definitely we have a good relationship, and I think, again, that speaks on who you are. Everyone always says great things about you, and they love your personality, and you've been doing this now long enough to know what it takes. Yes. And on that aspect, I wish you always have the best, and I know you're going to continue to do better and grow, because you're still a young man.
Oh, thank you. And SFE too, of course, with the pipelines, I fit right in with them guys. I mean, they're just great guys.
Yeah, good, awesome. Now, how much travel do you do? Even though, I gotta say this, when he does his traveling, he doesn't even drive anymore, right?
That's true.
He does, but he doesn't. Why am I saying that, Mike?
Self-driving vehicles.
Yeah.
That's a must for a rep. It just, you have to, especially for me.
Yeah, so you have an F-150
Yes.
and you have a Tesla.
Yes.
And pretty much he just sits behind the wheel and answers emails and calls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we say that on camera?
Yeah. Hey, it's all good. It's
Yes,
the technology's there.
Yes.
Of course, you always got to pay attention, but it's amazing what these cars can do nowadays.
Yes.
And I've seen it firsthand now with Mike. How much travel do you do?
At least 1,000 miles a week.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
just, I mean, that's just really a typical week for me.
Really?
And, sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, sometimes I get lucky, but being a rep, I found out that you got to be there for your distributors.
Correct.
And when there's
out of sight, out of mind, too.
yes. And if it's emergency, you got to get there. That's the main thing. If they calling me and they need me, I need to be there.
Yeah, no, you're the face of your face,
Right.
because you're the brand,
Right.
You're the company.
And luckily I have, as you already know, there's great distributors out there.
Yes.
And, they're really nice and they got my back. And,
Yeah.
and I try to do the same to them too.
Yeah, and I know you go to shows as well. You go to FabTech,
Yes.
and so when you go to FabTech, which you are, I believe you're going to be
Yes.
going,
Oh, absolutely.
right, in Chicago coming up. As a rep, when you go to a show like that, what are you looking for? What are you trying to get out of it?
Well, the main thing, just to see what the industry, see what the economy is, because people like you will have meetings with me and say, how's it looking? Because you want to look at your production
Yeah.
and what do you need to develop? And I try to look at the new technology,
Yeah.
like where are we going in the industry?
Gotcha.
And, because it's always changing. And
Correct.
then with AI, there's going to, like I'm starting to investigate a lot of AI because
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the future.
Exactly. No, I totally agree. We can't run away from it. Whether you like it or not, it's something that is here, it's going to stay, and it's only going to continue to go forward. Mike, you're married, right?
Yes, sir.
And your wife, your lovely wife, which I've met before, and in fact, we're going to go to dinner tonight, so I'm excited for that. I know you guys have struggled a little bit because of a personal loss that you guys had. And again, I asked you if I can ask you this on camera
absolutely.
before, so I wanted to make sure and respect that you guys lost your son.
Yes, it was
Mikey.
Yes, it's Mikey, and he was just a spitting image of me. And
I
he would have took over this year, and he was already like, I took him around, and he was a mini me, but super smart.
But better, a mini me, but better, right?
Than I ever could be.
And how long ago was this, Mike?
That was 3 years, February 3rd, and it was very devastating. And one thing, if we get out of this video, if anybody needs help or something, I'd be more than happy to. I know how it feels. It's devastating.
Yeah, I can only imagine, and we briefly touched on this conversation. I lost my sister less than a year ago, and of course, the pain of a brother, but I see it on my mom as well. So I can only imagine, because I don't think it's something. It's supposed to be the other way around, right?
Yes.
What helped you what helped you cope with this nowadays? In the beginning, there's nothing that can.
Right.
I don't care who you are, I don't care what you say, who you talk to. In the beginning, there's just, you don't want to talk to people.
Right.
Because everyone they want to give you an advice, and we won't take it, because you got to go through that grieving process and get to a level where at least you open for those conversations. What has helped you cope with this thing?
I thought long and hard about that. And, I got a strong faith in God. But there was more than that. I think it was friendship. Friends kept me laughing. Not the friend, there's some people would, make you feel sorry for you.
Correct.
And which I understand, but I'd rather have the friends that joke around about, with me. And laughter is what really, I guess, made me survive. Like friendship and knowing you wouldn't believe the people in the industry, family and industry, that was there for me.
Yeah.
They were everybody. I don't know one person that I couldn't have called any time of the night and they wouldn't have answered.
Wow.
And,
That's again that I think people connect with you, and people really, we can try to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes, and we never come close.
And then somebody gave me advice one time. It was Mikey's never gone. He's right here. He's in your memory. So when I'm driving, sometimes I'll picture him in the passenger seat and just talk to him like he's here. And some of the things I accomplished, I just talk to him like he's here. And I think even though I know he's not here, I'm not hallucinating. It feels better. It feels like he's still a part of me. And I think I went to a counselor only a couple of times, and I mean, my wife, she gets a lot from the counselor, or did, but me, I never really did. I never really wanted to think about it at the time, because.
So you wanted to kind of more block it until you were able to really dissect it and think about things, right?
And I just put the love that I had for him, still do, into the business. And that's what really helped me out. I just stayed busy and talking to everybody, because most of the time we go to distributors or customers, it's an upbeat moment. And even if it's a sad moment, at least you're not thinking about, the devastation that happened to us.
Yeah. It's, what's not crazy, but what's sad about these kind of things, you and I just had lunch with a few people in the industry not too long ago. And it was, 6 of us total, or 5 maybe?
Just 5.
Yeah. And out of the 5, every one of, 3 or 4 of us had or has had a loss within 3 years or so.
Yes.
Somebody else had lost their son, and then another one had lost their son as well within 3 years.
Yes.
I lost my sister less than a year ago, and of course what Mikey. So it happens. It's out there, and everybody it's suffering in different ways and coping with things different ways. So like you said earlier, hey, if you guys need help, if you notice someone that needs help, and every once in a while, all it takes is shaking someone's hand, saying, hey, what's going on, making them laugh, because sometimes they're on the urge or on the ledge of jumping into the abyss, and just hey, what's going on, man? It's all good. I love you, and that brings them right back from that ledge. So I hope you guys get something out of this, because it's out there. It's happening way more than it needs to happen. All right, Mike. Well, thank you for sharing that part. Again, I appreciate it. Thank you for sharing that part. It's a touchy conversation. Let's bring it back to the business if we can.
Okay, absolutely.
Where do you see yourself now? Where you don't want to see yourself 5 years from now? Do you understand that question?
What's that again? No.
So, where you see yourself right now?
Yes.
5 years from now, what wouldn't you want to see in the same? I just made a mess out of that whole question. The first time I said it, I knew exactly what I was trying to say. I had to repeat it and how it goes. So 5 years from now, you're there and you look back and you go, wow, that's exactly what I didn't want to do. Or, oh, great, this is exactly what I wanted to do. So what is that gap that you see yourself 5 years from now where you want to see that progress, that growth? What does that mean for you?
I'm having time in my life right now.
Really?
I mean, to be honest with you, I really love.
Hey, don't ask me. I don't know.
25 hours in the car together.
I have no idea.
Every time we go out, so we're always laughing, having a good time. That's my life. I love doing what I'm doing. I love helping people. Like I got back, I went today and helped a customer that was in need, and I don't know, it gives me a satisfaction where I can go out to a fab shop and increase their productivity and keep the guys on. It makes me think, that's my gift in life.
Correct.
To give to others.
Yeah, and I can see it. I've seen it firsthand. Not this time around, throughout the years, I've seen you get a laughter out of people, and that's a virtue. So definitely don't change anything on that side, because it's good. It's working for you, and we need more people like you.
Thank you.
Now, what's the name of your agency?
Advantage Welding Sales.
Okay,
Yes.
which you changed the name, right?
Well, Mike Shaffer and Associates, because
Yeah.
everybody was thinking I was a distributor. You know, they'd look at Advantage Welding Sales and they'd be like, I got to buy products through another distributorship.
Yeah.
And then people who didn't know me, but most people know me and understand what a rep agency
Yeah.
is. So I changed that. I still, you know, Advantage is going to be the main company, but
Okay.
Mike Shaffer Associates, people understand that more than they do Advantage Welding Sales. They think of that as a distributorship.
Yeah, and now when as a rep and you're out there and you are trying to represent these companies,
Yes.
do you think there should be a fine line of how many companies you rep, how many logos on the business card
Yes.
you have, or do you think one can manage 10, 15, 20?
Well, I thought about that a lot, and you and I talked about it. Where I like to have lines that I can represent, that I know when people call me, I know everything about them. And I know a lot of reps will have 30, 40 lines sometimes, and there's no way you could. I don't care how many guys you have. There's no way you could rep that.
Or at least rep it the right way.
The right way,
yeah.
right? Yes, you can rep them, but I want to be able to go out and actually bring value to my customers. When they ask me something, and that's where I have a good background. I grew up in the welding industry and the cutting industry. That it's sort of easy for me. Like when I go into pipeline, I don't really have to think about it. When I cut with oxy-fuel torch, I don't have to really think about setting.
It's just second nature. It's just muscle memory.
Yeah, the hardest thing for me is actually explaining what I'm doing. I could do it, but explaining it is
Gotcha.
is the hardest thing.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people that way. They have this. Look, just watch.
Right.
Don't ask me anything. Watch
right.
me. How long do you see yourself doing this for?
I thought about that, and I always said I wouldn't be the guy 90 years old being in this industry.
Until you are doing it
right
for yourself and you're having fun. So has that changed? Your mentality has changed?
My whole mentality has changed. Even if I wasn't on this level, I still want to be 90 visiting people. I really do. Even if it's like having one line or just, I don't know what it is, consultant.
Yeah.
I don't see myself, because you're my family. You know, like my distributors are my family. I mean, they really are.
I agree. And I've had these thoughts before too. Every once in a while you see someone that just is getting older, second, third generation, taking over the company or a sales agency or whatever the case might be. And the only thing I say is that whenever I'm not capable of doing things physically or mentally, then I don't care the age, then I don't want to be doing it. But if I can still do my thing and bring some sort of value to whatever I'm doing, then hey, who cares? I'll do it till I drop on a sales call or mentoring someone like you mentioned. And I'll be just the one guy that most people then start talking like, hey, did you see the Frank, he's like 85. He should retire already.
Right.
It's all good. If you can, go for it. Sky's the limit. So we were talking about this when we were traveling the other day, and we were together, and about taking vacations or traveling to different spots and do this, do that. Are you planning on the next year or two going somewhere, taking a vacation? Are you working on that? I'm putting him on the spot.
Put me on the spot.
So when his wife looks at this. So, well, you said that, right?
I thought about that.
Yeah. So, anything,
Oh, wow. She's been begging me to go to, like Bahamas or something like that. And
but you said that you don't want to fly over the water.
Right. I don't know. I got a fear of going over the ocean, because if it goes down, where are you going to land? Water.
All right. So here's what you do. Then you just fly to Fort Lauderdale or Miami, and then you take the speedboat.
Oh, okay.
That it's about an hour or a couple hours, I can remember, and you hit the Bahamas that way.
Okay.
That's an option.
All right.
Yeah. So see, I'm helping. I'm helping. And remind everyone what your wife's name is.
Heather Shaffer. She's a fourth grade teacher, and she keeps me in line.
Yeah. Well, somebody has to.
Yeah. She tells me what some words that I say, I guess they wasn't in
could be better.
Right.
And that's, hey, as long as you understand what I'm saying, It's all good.
That's it.
Don't judge
Right.
me. It's all good. Mike, I think again, and I said this before. I'm happy to call you a friend, and I'm happy to know that you are out there, representing who I work for. And I think every one of the companies that you have right now could probably vouch and say the same thing. Now that, again, you know where you want to be 5 years from now, where you don't want to be, how long you want to be doing these for. If Mikey were here,
Yes.
would you want him to do the same thing and follow what you do, because what you do could be so what's the word I'm looking for? The relationships you build and the friendships, and the sky's the limit on doing something like you do. Did Mikey ever saw you and he understood what you did, or?
And that's a very good question, and I don't think it's for everyone, because where Mikey was the type of person that he was a jokester. He loved people. He loved getting smiles from people. He loved hugs. Like me, I'm a hugger. You see some of my distributors. I mean, they'll shake other people's hands. They're hugging me, and I'm just a toucher. Where he was too. He was 14 years old, jumping on his dad's lap, and hey, Dad, just like he was 4 years old.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't have that type of personality, it's hard to be in this field because it's so stressful.
It is.
And you never know where you're going to be at from one day to another.
Taking rejection left
yes,
and right.
That's it. Right. That's the hardest part, is probably rejection. You go in, you beat.
They don't give you the time of day. They don't want to talk to you. Yeah.
And you got to be somebody that just, you got to have thick skin. You got to be self-motivated. And I think he would have been a great at that. I think because you get energy from other people.
Correct.
And helping other people. And he was that type of kid.
Yeah.
But a lot of people aren't like that. Like my dad, he was a guy that when he retired, when it was age to retire, he retired.
Yeah.
And he's living it up.
Yeah, right?
But me, I don't see myself as that. I love what I'm doing. And he loved what he was doing, but he was a different type of person.
Yeah, and hey, what works for you works for you, and people are different, and it's all good.
Right.
You hit it right in the head. I think it takes a special kind of person to be out there every single day, being social, selling yourself, because the products that you represent, it's just an extension, but it's you that they need to be comfortable with, to make sure that they can trust you with. Sure, I'll give you some business.
Yes.
Not because specifically just the line you represent, but because of you.
Right.
So I think definitely it takes a special person. Mike, I want to thank you again, especially because when I reached out and said, hey Mike, would you do the interview? And he goes, yes, of course. And everything was great till a day or two ago. Right. And now he's asking me, well, Frank, what are you going to ask me?
You're right.
And he gets all nervous. And even before the show, and I'll share this, he got, a little bit, he just got in his head.
Yes.
And I'm like, oof, my legs are shaking. I'll leave it at that. And as you can see, this is harmless.
Yes.
It's just having these conversations with friends again, but it's their past, their roadmap into where they are now. And hopefully someone out there can learn something, pass it forward, shake a hand, be nice to people. This is what we're here for, just to share with a little bit of things that we learned. And is there anything else you would like to say? By the way, before I told you guys, I interrupt. I asked the question and then I'll just, wait, I got something else. This guy has kind of become my biggest fan with a few of you out there. Everywhere we go, he's like, hey,
I know where it's going.
Do you know who I'm with?
Right.
Do you know who I'm with?
Yes.
And I'm like, Mike, please. And he's like, this is I'll let you tell the story.
Joe Rogan, he's a, what I say, the welding world, he's the Joe Rogan of the welding world. And then
we were somewhere, and we had we had a friend at the bar, a local, that just came to talk to us, and just because he wanted to talk and say hi and ask us what we do. And so what happened?
He comes up and you're talking, you're doing the most of the talking. He's like,
Well, that. Jeez. Well,
so he knows
thanks.
you're important.
Yeah, right. Or just a talker.
So he's like, what do you do? I want to know what you do. You sound important. I said, he's Joe Rogan. And he looks at you. He said, you're the black Joe Rogan.
Yeah. So the guy goes, oh, yeah, okay, you're the black Joe Rogan. I'm like, no, I'm the broke Joe Rogan. Hey, just the stuff you got to hear. And anyway, the whole table just cracked, and no one could hold themselves together because it was just funny as hell. But again, it's all about having fun and sharing these things with you guys out there. Thank you, Mike, once again. I appreciate it. I mean that. Guys, see you on the next one, next conversation with another friend of the industry. Torch Tales out. Mike Shaffer.